Welcome in, Dween Nation. We are the Dween Sports Podcast, and we are just about to get started. But before we do, we'd love if you could like, comment, subscribe, and share so we can continue to be your fantasy sports podcast. Thanks for being part of Dween Nation, and enjoy the show. Welcome in, Dween Nation. This is your host, Justin Pies, alongside Genoa Agudelo, and week one has come and gone, and now we're on to week two. Man, see, I'm already ahead of myself. And we got to discuss our starts and our sits for the week. We did pretty well in our first swing of things. A couple wrong ones. I'll take the Jerome Ford loss here. I thought he was going to be more involved. Clearly didn't happen, but we move on to this week. Hopefully, obviously you're 1-0 or you're 0-1. You should still feel good. It's the season's early, and we're here to help you win your week two matchups. But before we do, how you doing, Genoa?
Yo, Dween Nation, Justin. Hey, we're on to week two. Week one was a lot of fun. But as soon as Sunday ended, Justin, I wanted more. I want more football. Thankfully, we got a day and a half away from Thursday night football. Commanders at Packers. Justin, this season has been very entertaining. What a very entertaining week one it was. I mean, the primetime games were something. Thursday night, Friday night, Sunday night, Monday night. I mean, literally a elite lineup of matchups that we saw there. But I'm so excited for week two, and starts and sits is the proper way to start off week two.
No, I love that, and I completely agree. Week one was a lot of fun. There was overall a little bit lower scoring, at least until the Sunday night game, which was bonkers. But yeah, I'm excited to get into week two, start fresh, and put these guys in our lineups or take them out in order to win our week. So we'll start for me as my quarterback start of the week is Justin Fields. They play the Buffalo Bills, which if you look at Sunday Night Football, Lamar Jackson in this offense was scoring at will. They were going off, and they put up 40 points, and that means something. And if you look at it, Justin Fields in week one had to play the Steelers and put up 32 points, was a top 5 quarterback on the week. He was phenomenal, and he's kind of everything we hoped he could be already in week one. I thought it would take some building. No, he's already there, and I think this game's going to be a shootout. I don't care that the Jets have good corners. I think this game is going to be back and forth. And honestly, I have him as a top 3 play. I think I would literally play him over every quarterback besides Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, Justin, a great start of the week. I mean, look at Lamar Jackson. Obviously, he is one of the MVPs of this league. However, he torched his Buffalo Bills defense in Buffalo, right? And so now Buffalo travels to New York to play the Jets. And I love it, Justin. I love it because two situations could happen that's going to be great for Justin Fields. Whether Josh Allen remains on fire and goes up 14-0 in this game, and Justin Fields will play comeback, which he will be able to score some touchdowns, or the Jets, angry about last week's loss, 1-point loss, and, they go out there and they absolutely just tear it up, torch the Bills defense. And I think Justin Fields, his rushing ability is on fire. Garrett Wilson, I think he'll have a great game, which will help Justin Fields. And maybe they can get some other people involved there. Maybe a receiving touchdown to Breece Hall. And I love Justin Fields there, Justin. So definitely a good play. For me, I'm going to go with Jared Goff. This guy at home is unbelievable. One thing's first, his coach is a nut job, right? It's Dan Campbell. And Dan Campbell, after that loss in Green Bay last week, probably broke some mirrors in the Lambeau Field locker room. I mean, he definitely broke a seat in the bus on the way to the airport or broke something on the flight back to Detroit. Dan Campbell, the fact that his team only scored 13 points in week one against a divisional rival, he's got this team now ready to go, and they're at home, Justin. Let me give you a quick little stat there, Justin. In a couple years, I want to say, three or four seasons with Detroit, Jared Goff has 106 passer rating at home, 9,000 passing yards, 76 passing touchdowns to just 18 interceptions in 34 games at Ford Field there in Detroit. So once again, 34 games. He's got 9,000 passing yards and 106 quarterback rating, 76 touchdowns to 18 interceptions. I don't want to tell you his away game. This is a start episode, right? So this is a start segment. So I have Jared Goff as my start of the week. He's home. He's got the Bears that got torched in the third and fourth quarter last night with J.J. McCarthy's first career game on the road from a torn ACL. Didn't really play his rookie year. And he went into Soldier Field and torched them. He had Justin, literally J.J. McCarthy looked awful the first half. I was thinking, man, they might, in the first or second quarter, they might need to call Atlanta and bring Kirk Cousins back, right? And then JJ McCarthy, 3 total touchdowns between the middle of the third quarter all the way to the end of the game, and a 2-point conversion. I think he finished with like 25, 30 fantasy points there. He even threw a pick six in that game, Justin. Still, JJ McCarthy just looked phenomenal in a quarter and a half. Can you imagine Jared Goff at home with crazy Dan Campbell over his shoulder? He's got Gibbs to throw to. He's got Amon Ra, Laporta, Jameson Williams. Justin, I got Jared Goff as my start of the week. He's home against a porous Bears defense. They're 0-1. The Lions are 0-1, so I just do think the Lions are going to take advantage and go big. Give me Jared Goff.
I like Jared Goff as well. I was looking at his stats against the Bears in the past. It's kind of contrarian, but Goff in 11 games against the Bears as the Lions quarterback has only eclipsed 20 fantasy points twice. So that has me slightly worried, and just the struggles we saw last week. I know it was in Lambeau Field against a division rival, but I think this game, he will definitely be better than he was last week. I don't know if I could go as far as to say a start of the week for myself, but he's got the weapons to do it. Hopefully it doesn't become too much of a run game. The Vikings were solidly successful in the rushing attack, against the Bears. And so we'll see if the Lions divert a lot of their game to the rushing game, maybe a Montgomery revenge game, or like Jahmyr Gibbs getting back on track. So I'm lukewarm on it, but I understand where we think he's going to get better. Home game, he's got the weapons, bounce back, spot for them. So I completely see it there. We'll move to running back, where I got Trevion Henderson for the New England Patriots. Last week was an introduction. He didn't do great things, but he was fine. He only had 5 carries, but he had 6 receptions. In full PPR, that's super valuable. Half PPR, still really valuable. It was against the Raiders, so I don't think it's a great defense. You move into this week, and they play the Miami Dolphins, who just got embarrassed last week. Yes, it is on the road, but I think for Trevion Henderson, week by week, this guy is going to get more and more usage. Clearly, Ramondre is not the future for this team. Gibson either. And so I think that he's just going to get utilized more and more. And if you look at last week, against the Raiders defense, Ramondre was bad. He did get 2 receptions, but 7 carries, 15 yards, not going to cut it. I think the Patriots realize and know what kind of star they have in Trevion Henderson, and I think we start to see it this week. Plus, the man just got engaged. He's probably on cloud 9, and I think he's going to be moving this week with some serious power, and maybe this is his breakout performance.
Yeah, Justin, absolutely. I mean, the Dolphins are one of the worst defenses, and they will be all season long. I mean, even though Jonathan Taylor didn't go crazy, he still did have 71 yards rushing. Daniel Jones had himself a great rushing day as well. So it's all going to add up there. Drake May isn't, known as a rushing quarterback. I guess New England prefers for him not to run. I guess if needed, sure, go ahead. But Trevion Henderson, he is the lead guy now in New England. I think week 1, we kind of saw it. I mean, he leads them in touches, yards, right? And I just think that Ramondre is being pushed to the back as Henderson is being prepared and groomed to be the lead back there. So I love it. For me, it's Aaron Jones. And look, I understand he did not lead last night his team in rushing yards. It was Jordan Mason with 68 yards. But I still like what I saw at Aaron Jones. I think that this team was struggling offensively a lot in the first half. So maybe they just got away from the running game. But when needed, Aaron Jones made some key rushes on first down to kind of milk the clock, move the chains. And he had a receiving touchdown for 27 yards. Not sure if he's going to be able to hold the receiving yards in, but I think Sunday night at home against the Falcons, I think he's going to be featured a lot because obviously you and I do believe at some point this season, Jordan Mason will take over, and I think he's going to have some touches as well. And I understand that you guys might be believing more into Jordan Mason. He looked phenomenal last night, 68 yards on 15 carries. But I still think we have a couple more Aaron Jones gem games before we get to the Jordan Mason takeover. And I think Sunday night, Aaron Jones is going to be his night. He dominated on Sunday Night Footballs multiple times when he was a member of the Green Bay Packers. I think this time at home, their home opener against the Falcons defense. I know Falcons defense did stop Bucky in some ways. I know Bucky still had somewhat of a good game. I think he had a receiving or rushing touchdown. But I do think that Aaron Jones, he's got a couple more games there, Justin, before Jordan Mason takes over. And I think that this week is an Aaron Jones.
No, I like Aaron Jones. I think this is a good play here. I think that this game might be sneaky high scoring. I think that JJ McCarthy and Michael Penix from the same quarterback class, and they're going to duel it out. I think this is a really big game. I'm excited. Obviously, it's hard to back up last week's Sunday Night Football game, but I think that they're going to create some fireworks here. And I saw Aaron Jones be the lead pass catcher out of between the running backs, between him and Mason. And so I agree. I think he's a really good play. I think this game's going to be competitive. And Jones is going to be in a good spot to do well on Sunday Night Football. We'll move to wide receivers, where I got Ricky Pearsall. They play the Saints. Great matchup there. And unfortunately, George Kittle has been placed on IR. He is going to miss at least the next 4 games. You have McCaffrey, sure. Jawan Jennings left the game with the injury. He's day-to-day. Who knows if he's going to play? But regardless of Jennings plays, Ricky Pearsall is that guy. And he got over 100 yards last week against a really solid Seattle Seahawks defense. I know Purdy is questionable with the shoulder injury, but I don't even I mean, obviously I care that he's healthy, but I don't care. I think even if Mac Jones were to step in and be the quarterback there, we saw Mac Jones help support Brian Thomas Jr. last year. So I'm all on board for Ricky Pearsall. I think this is one of those games where he's going to get hyper-targeted and score. And I think he will definitely get in the end zone. If I had to guarantee a touchdown, I think this is the week he does it.
Yeah, Justin, you definitely took the words out of my mouth there. Great statement. Mac Jones did help Brian Thomas a lot more than we saw Trevor Lawrence. And, I love it. I think that in the dome there, anything can really happen. It's going to be Mac Jones versus Spencer Rattler. So this could be a big shootout or a defensive showdown. Regardless, I think that Pearsall is the only guy there now in San Francisco. And this is one of the things that, worries me. This is why I was so down on San Francisco this year, because they always get hurt. Here we are in week 1. However, Mac Jones is no slouch. He had some good, he had a good rookie year with New England. And he's had some good stops here and there. And I think that he is a quarterback that can just air it out. Remember, this was the quarterback behind Devontae Smith's legendary Heisman year in Alabama. So he is no stranger to just airing it out. I do like Ricky Pearsall there. You mentioned there's injuries, right? George Kittle's on IR. Juwan Jennings might miss. And so they're going to they did just sign Kendrick Bourne. So MVS is probably going to be moved up as well into the depth chart. So, maybe Mac Jones has a great game. And this system is always going to be great, right? Fantasy proof. I mean, as much as we do get on Kyle Shanahan for being a playoff choker, he is a really great regular season head coach. He has a great system, so I love it. Ricky Pearsall, over 100 yards last week. I think even when Kittle was out in Seattle, it was very impressive. So I like it. In New Orleans there, Marvin Harrison Jr. had a great game against the Saints last week, excuse me. So Ricky Pearsall should too. For me, I'm going to go with DK Metcalf, and he already in week 2 is in a revenge game. Yes, he will be home against the Seahawks there. And coming off of last week there, I like what I saw out of DK Metcalf against the Jets. I think Aaron Rodgers was looking for him a lot last week, and I loved it. I mean, he led the team in receiving yards, right? He had 83 receiving yards, and DK Metcalf had 7 targets. I love it. Against Sauce Gardner, 7 targets. And now going against the Seahawks, yes, their secondary could be somewhat good, but we just talked about Ricky Pearsall. He had a great game against the Seahawks. So I do think that in a revenge game, DK Metcalf at home, they'll be there in Pittsburgh with old man Rodgers there behind center. And Rodgers is going to be looking for him a lot. In fact, I think that we won't see a lot of carries from the Steelers offense, right? Last week, Jaylen Warren had 11 carries in a shootout, and Kenneth Gainwell had 7. I think those numbers are going to go even down, right? I think Jaylen Warren probably has 8 or 9 carries, where Kenneth Gainwell probably gets 3 or 4. I think Rodgers is feeling it. He's on fire. He had 30 pass attempts. I think those numbers are going to go up to 44 pass attempts. That's going to literally boost up DK Metcalf and Calvin Austin, who's a sleeper for me this weekend, Justin. And so I like DK Metcalf to get 10 or 11 targets, 90 to 100 yards, and for sure a touchdown. But receptions, I'm talking 7 or 8 catches there. He's going to kill it this week at home against his former team. I love it.
No, I think a revenge game, this is the kind of revenge game that we see a big performance from. I think DK, I just feel like DK probably wants this game more. And you're right. I mean, last week, speaking about Ricky Pearsall, who I just talked about, he was able to put up over 100 yards against the Seattle defense, and I think DK is a better wideout. And honestly, I was super surprised, pleasantly surprised that the Steelers' offense was so dynamic and was so successful. And I think that translates to this week at home. So I think this is a really good setup for DK. I know he's got to go against guys he was going against in camp last year. So he knows that defense, and he knows what Tariq Woolen and Devon Witherspoon. So I think that he's set up for a good game. I agree. I think he's going to be a good play. Next one, tight ends. I got TJ Hawkinson. And to be honest with you, I was thinking about your start of the week also. It was really tough. So that's kind of just commending your take as well. But TJ Hawkinson. So they play the Atlanta Falcons. I love it. I think that it's going to be a really good matchup. And I think JJ McCarthy, the way he ended Monday Night Football, I know it didn't translate to Hawkinson having a good game, but I think this week he's got more confidence to where it's not a slow, first 2.5 quarters. And I think Hawkinson's in line for a really solid target share. Addison's still not there. Thielen wasn't really that involved, and it was because McCarthy, he threw, a touchdown to Aaron Jones, obviously to Jay Jettas. But I think Hawkinson finds himself in the right role to get a handful of catches this week, and I think he finds himself in the end zone.
Yeah, Justin, I love it there. I think that home against the Falcons, it's not a defense that's so impressive. And a lot of people are thinking, well, TJ Hawkinson, didn't really do much last night. And not to mention, the Falcons locked up Cade Otton, which was the Tampa Bay Buccaneers tight end one. But still, that's what people want you to think. And I think that right now, JJ McCarthy, he's on fire. He now has a week or less than a week before Sunday night's game to make adjustments. And I think that, TJ Hawkinson is going to be more featured in this game as well. And so I definitely love it there. For me, I'm going to go with Hunter Henry. It's kind of the take we were talking about when we were discussing the running backs with Travion Henderson. Miami is not a good defense. They're 0-1. They are a very beatable team. And the Patriots, right, embarrassed. They lost at home last week to the Raiders. And, it's very disappointing if you're Mike Vrabel. But you know what? I have a lot of confidence in Hunter Henry to actually become a top tight end this year. I think if he's healthy, I think if the Patriots the right way, I do think they have Josh McDaniels as their offense coordinator, right? I believe in New England. And he was behind, Gronkowski being a great tight end. Obviously, Gronkowski's a Hall of Famer with the best quarterback of all time. But I think that he can make similar plays to get Hunter Henry involved. He's a very speedy tight end. And then look at this last week, Justin. New England's going to have different receivers. I know Keyshawn Bootsy was the guy. Maybe some weeks it'll be Demario Douglas. But look at this, Justin. 8 targets for Hunter Henry, 66 yards, 4 catches. He had a long catch of 27 yards. And the Patriots only scored 13 points. So I love it when they go to Miami. I think that Drake May is going to be on poise. I think in New England this past week was a little bit of a sprinkle of rain. Hopefully this week in Sunnyside, Miami, it'll be better. So I love it. I think Hunter Henry gets the end zone for sure this week as a great red zone target.
No, and I'm really keying in on those 8 targets. I mean, that is really good for your tight end to have. And this is obviously a guy that's more under the radar, probably not the first tight end you scooped up, but maybe you have George Kittle and you need that replacement. I think he is a great pickup and plug and play immediately. Those 8 targets, 66 yards on 4 catches, and he only had caught 4 of Drake May's passes. And then against a worse defense in the Dolphins, who just allowed Tyler Warren to have a top 5 tight end day, 9 targets, 7 catches, 76 yards in his debut as an NFL player. Now, I do think Tyler Warren's a better player than Hunter Henry, but I think you're so right. I think Hunter Henry is in line for a big day. I was this close to putting him for my start of the week, so I really like it there. We'll move to our sits of the week. So we both have one, and it is obviously discussion about guys you don't need to have in your lineup. And I got Ja'Cory, Bill, Krosky, Merritt, and it hurts because I was very pleasantly surprised. I know I've said that already, and happy to see Krosky Merritt kind of get the lead count of touches against the Giants last week, and he got in the end zone, had a really good yards per carry. But this week's matchup is a little bit tougher. They go to Lambeau Field, who just showed us how good of a defense they might actually be. I mean, David Montgomery last week, 11 carries, 25 yards. Jahmyr Gibbs, 9 carries, 19 yards. This Packers defense could be a top 5 defense, or at least top 5 rushing defense in the league. And you go on on a short week. I just don't see Bill Krosky Merritt returning the value you may think he brings, like what he did last week. So don't rush to put him in your lineup. I still think season long, he's in line to be the guy. I was really impressed from week 1. I just think it might be a little bit of a slower week 2.
I don't know how to feel about this one. I'm really hot and cold on Bill Krosky Merritt there. I like what I saw last week. It was against the Giants. He looked really good. I don't know, Justin. I think he's the lead back. I was a little concerned about Austin Eckler. I know Chris Rodriguez did miss, and I think I'm not sure on this. I think they put him on IR, which is irrelevant. Doesn't matter. I don't know. I like Krosky Merritt, but I do get your point. Thursday night games are always so terrible. A short week for the rookie. I guess I'll side with you on this one, but I do think Justin eventually he is going to take over for that backfield. He looked phenomenal. 10 carries for 82 yards, and he had a carry for 42 yards off one carry. So getting into the end zone is big time. I do think he has a great season, but I can understand Green Bay, tough rushing defense. Very shocking to see them stopping Gibbs, stopping Montgomery. So very impressive out of Green Bay.
And I have one more thing to throw into this too. I think obviously McCroskey Merritt has kind of found himself in the role of Brian Robinson. Like he is that Brian Robinson role because Eckler's still getting the third downs. And if I were to predict how this Thursday night game is going to play out, I actually think the Packers will be the team in the lead, and the Commanders are trying to come back. And when you're in, negative game strip and you're trying to come back in games, I think they're going to have Eckler on the field for passing downs. And so I think Merritt's usage might be a little bit down. He might get around the same amount of carries as he did last week, but a better defense will have lower efficiency.
Okay, fair enough. For me, I'm going to go with the guy who's also kind of in a running back committee. And Justin, I know I hate to flip so quick, but what I saw last week, I mean, my God, Justin, what was that? You're at home, you're against San Francisco, and then Justin, you have Charbonnet he gets into the end zone, and that to me is all kind of I need to know there, Justin, because that happens like week 9 or week 10. Why is this happening week 1 where Charbonnet is the lead guy in Seattle now? Like it sort of feels like they're going that way. And I mean, if you look at what Seattle was able to do, 12 carries for Sharps and 10 for Kenneth Walker, the difference is Charbonnet had 27 more yards, averaged more per carry, and had a touchdown. Kenneth Walker only had 10 carries for 20 yards. And I mean, very disappointing there. And I do know if you have PPR, he did have 3 catches for 4 yards. But I mean, what is that really going to do? And so I'm a little concerned very early now. Like I didn't expect myself, Justin, someone who loves this offense, expect Kenneth Walker to already be in the sits for me. But I got to be honest with you. I've been saying this for a while. I love Charbonnet. He is a pure running back. I mean, he is literally a pure running back. Like, to me, he reminds me of just kind of like an old school bruiser, like a 2005, 2006 bruiser of a running back, like that era of running backs, like a Sean Alexander, a former Seattle Seahawk great, maybe a Jerome Bettis, so kind of a smaller Jerome Bettis. But I can't deny his talent there, Justin. I think that he might be the guy vulturing touchdowns from Kenneth Walker all year. Not to mention this Steelers defense that they're going up against on the road in Pittsburgh. I think that they're going to, be able to limit scoring more than they did last week in New York. Yes, Breece Hall had a great game against them. But Breece Hall is awesome. I like Breece Hall. And I don't think Braylon Allen is better than either Kenneth Walker or Charbonnet, if that makes sense. So that's why we didn't see much of Braylon Allen. It was just a Breece Hall show. Here, I love Charbonnet and I love Kenneth Walker. So the reason why I'm saying sit Kenneth Walker is because Charbonnet might be the lead guy. He might get the goal line carries to bruise through that Pittsburgh defense. We might not see much of Kenneth Walker. Also, there might be a chance where maybe Sam Darnold and this offense get themselves down, like 15, 18, kind of like what you said about Washington and Green Bay, where they're playing from behind. We won't see much of Kenneth Walker, even in the passing game, and that's what concerns me, Justin.
No, yeah, I was extremely disappointed from what we saw from Kenneth Walker last week. 2 yards per carry, that's really, really bad. And the fact that they decided to rely on Charbonnet at the goal line, it changes a lot. And this offseason was strange because they kind of made it seem that Walker was going to be the guy. And this is going to be a really, really strange analogy, but when you were talking about him, it kind of reminds me of throwing the football outside the house versus throwing the football inside the house. And right now, Ken Walker to the Seattle Seahawks is like throwing the football inside the house. You got to be careful with it. You don't want to break anything. You don't, you know, I think the Seattle Seahawks know
Yeah,
how brittle he is and just don't want to overuse him. But that means he comes in the games, cold and dry, and he's not, kind of getting those touches. And then Charbonnet, you can throw him around. You're outside, and it doesn't matter where you throw. Like he's strong. He doesn't go down with injury. I don't recall him having a major injury in his NFL career. But maybe that's the case. They know that Walker, although he is a good player, it's just maybe slight injuries are holding him back, or I don't know. They're realizing something else about Charbonnet that they didn't know before. But I agree. I think
yeah.
I'm definitely a wait and see with Walker. I don't want to slam the panic button, but if this week he doesn't show any bit of more usage or just any
Snaps.
flashes of potential, I agree. I'm going to be worried about him, and it'll be the opposite for Charbonnet. So I think that is a really good sit of the week take. We'll move to our more lighthearted side of things, and we're talking about our kickers of the week. And I got Will Reichard. He plays for the Vikings, and they play the Falcons. Chase McLaughlin had two field goals and a couple of extra points last week, and I just think
Yeah.
this game's going to be competitive. The Vikings showed that they can get themselves in field goal range on Monday Night Football, and he was able to knock down a 58-yarder. So I think he's a solid kicker on a really good team, and yeah, I'll go Will Riker.
I love it, Justin. I love it. Will Reichard, he was really good last year. He was one of those sneaky kickers that, if you weren't able to get a Jake Bates, or Cameron Dicker, who were having great seasons, this is a guy that you went to for a third option. So I love it. For me, I'm going to go Chris Boswell because even with Aaron Rodgers throwing 4 touchdown passes, Chris Boswell was still able to have 15 fantasy points for kicker. Justin, 15 points for a fantasy kicker is literally like 35 points for a quarterback. You know what I'm saying? So, literally, Justin, you're getting flex numbers for a kicker. That's amazing. That's outstanding. And I do think that he kicks better at home in Pittsburgh. So I like it. I want to call it Heinz Field, but it's not Heinz Field. It's called Arisher Stadium or Arisher Stadium. I think. Yeah, but for me, I love Chris Boswell this week, Justin. He's got 2 big field goals he made last week in MetLife on the road. So in a hostile environment that wanted to see Aaron Rodgers go down, I love Boswell. So give me Boswell. Justin. He is available. He is rostered on 83% of fantasy leagues, but Justin, kickers are so dime a dozen. I'm pretty sure in about 3 of my leagues he's available. So yeah, go get Chris Boswell.
I like Chris Boswell as well. He always seems to be like really good for fantasy and obviously being an accurate kicker. And I feel like he's often on the waiver wire. So I think that you're completely right. Boswell's a good kicker there. And that wraps up our starts and sits of the week, Dween Nation, for week 2 of the NFL season. Week 1 came and flew by. Actually, I'm like already on. Whoa, we're on week 2. But excited that we get to discuss it and help you guys win your fantasy matchups to help you eventually win your fantasy football championships. So thank you guys for watching. Check out the YouTube. We're posting there every single day. More of the nitty gritty little things with breaking news and other starts and rankings and waiver wire stuff. So go check that out. We're really building up on there. Super excited about what we're cooking up there. And then we're also going to be posting our rapid fire game predictions for this week as well on YouTube. So if you're here, stay tuned, watch that. You watch this. But yeah, thank you guys for listening. And Genoa, send us out.
Yo, Dween Nation, this was our starts and sits for week 2. So excited. Cannot wait for week 2. It's going to be a fun week there. So let us know if you guys have anybody that you want to start, anybody you want to sit, that you're concerned about. So let us know, guys. Check us out on TikTok as well. We're posting so much stuff there. But we love you guys. Thank you for watching. And as always, peace.